Let me thank you for inviting me to participate in this discussion. I think that if we are determined to fight corruption, we will get somewhere. But I don't see Ghana as actually determined to fight corruption. I don't think that we do not have laws that will help us fight corruption. But the bigger problem is our determination and our commitment, both at leadership level, to fight corruption. I think that is the major deficit in our fight against corruption. We all pretend to be fighting corruption, but we actually are never committed in fighting corruption. So that's what I would say for now.
Is the lack of commitment for you?
Come again?
I'm saying that for you, it's a lack of commitment by our leaders to fight it.
Because everybody talks about the ills of corruption and the need to fight corruption, but the decisions they have to take in the fight against corruption are lacking. I have a lot of comments. You see, everything that has been said by the other panelists confirm my first submission that it is leadership failure. We are not committed to fighting corruption. My brother here blamed the economic structure. He talks about culture. He describes corruption as multifaceted.
Yes.
Now, if you want to make a change, where do you begin from? Culture is not static. Culture can be changed. And there are studies that have demonstrated that culture, we want to change the behavior of people in a particular society, it will take you one generation. If you are focused on doing it, 30 years, you can change the way of behavior of people. So who leads that change? It's the leadership. If you are talking about systems failure, whose duty is it to fix the systems? And I agree with them that we don't have special species of human beings in Ghana as opposed to other countries. How come other countries are less corrupt than Ghana? It's the systems. But who leads the fixing of the systems? It's the leadership in society. So if leadership is committed towards fighting corruption, all the other things can fall in place.
And General, you've been talking about the systems. You, for one, are part of the Constitutional Review Committee, and there have been calls for constitutional review over the years. What would you say is wrong in the Constitution that needs amendment? Or do you even agree that there's anything that needs amendment in the Constitution as of yet in the fight against corruption?
Let me correct you by saying that I'm not a member of the Constitutional Review Committee. I was a member of the Consultative Assembly that put together the Constitution in the first place.
Apologies.
Yes. You know, my view on that is that you cannot have a perfect constitution. But we should ask ourselves, how much of what we have we had the courage to implement in ways as to reduce the corruption that we are facing? Of course, there are areas that you can look at. For instance, from hindsight, I think that we were wrong in combining the office of Attorney General and Minister of Justice, for instance. Because you could have Attorney General, and if he is the Minister of Justice, he sits in cabinet with his colleague ministers. All policies that are coming from the other sectors are cleared at cabinet. So it becomes very difficult for that same member of the government or cabinet to now seek to arrest or prosecute his colleagues. And the prosecutorial powers of the country is vested in the Attorney General, who happens also to be the Minister for Justice. So on the one hand, he will sit in cabinet, participate in the approval of all the programs. And when one of the programs goes wrong by way of implementation, and you ask him to now go and arrest his colleagues and prosecute them, it becomes a problem.
So you believe they should be separated?
Yes, I think that we should have a separate Attorney General who, in my view, ought not be a politician. It must be a career Attorney General who would not rely on any political party to put him there. I mean, voting and all that, because apart from his colleague ministers, if it happens that his party chairman has committed something, I say the Attorney General should arrest and prosecute his party chairman, for instance, it becomes challenging. So I think that moving forward, we should look at making the position of Attorney General like a career position, or something that can be secured like a judge, so that he can be free to embark on his prosecutorial duties.
Right. And I mean, as a chairman of a party, and your party is in governance now, I don't know, have you made any inputs with regards to the Constitutional Review Committee that was set up by the President as regards to the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General position?
Sure. We've made a lot of presentations to the Constitutional Review Committee, but it is not within the power of the government alone to make any change. You know, the process, after the hearings, it will somehow pass through Parliament, and some aspects may go outside by way of referendum for us to take final decisions. But discussions like this are part of the process, so that when it comes to, the parliamentary debate or the debate about the referendum, we can all see merit in separating those two offices. You cannot. So we must be interested in how we get leadership elected. Our politics is fast becoming over-monetized. If a member of parliament, as some studies have suggested, have to spend about 5 times the total of his salary over the 4-year period in order to get elected, when that person gets elected, how does he make for the balance? It means that he must resort to some means in order to make the balance. And if it is not rewarding, how come they are spending that much and still they are struggling to have the opportunity to go to Parliament? It tells you that there is some questions there we need to answer. If you have to spend so much to get elected as a president, when you get elected and your emoluments and salary and other things cannot pay for your campaign financing, where is the balance going to come from? We should be interested in such questions. We are not a peculiar democracy. The mature democracies, when they began, they got to a point where citizens became interested in political financing and campaign expenditure. So we are at a stage where we need to, civil society, and I'm happy that you formed these things. You should be interested in these questions, because if somebody is a beneficiary of a corrupt system, without pressure, you don't expect that he will so motu just get up and say that I'm going to do something about it. So,
General, I'm going to cut in right now, because you've been speaking about the fact that when these leaders are elected, they are sort of pushed to try and recoup the monies they spent on campaigns. But some may make the argument that it may start even from the party level. For instance, before a president or a flag bearer of a party is chosen, they go for that context. presidential primaries. And we know the amounts of monies that are paid by flat bearer hopefuls before they go into the election, and then a flat bearer is elected. You are the chairman of the NDC for one. Do you believe that these monies should be at least reduced for these flag bearer hopefuls? Or you say that once you want to be president, you should have the money?
No. What I'm saying is that civil society must put pressure on political parties and other actors, leadership in society, that it is not right to pay money in order to be able to secure a parliamentary candidature or presidential candidature and so on. And use all means to pressurize the system to make the appropriate laws to block such things from happening. Otherwise, if somebody has money and he thinks that that is the only way he can have a leverage over his other contestants, he will surely go in for the money. But if there is a system that requires a certain level of transparency, you cannot pay A, B, C, otherwise when you get caught, you may be disqualified. Then people will begin to sit up and behave well. Because it is scary now. If you are listening to people who are aspiring to be presidential candidates, parliamentary candidates, and even the citizens, they are all talking in terms of money. The citizens, when you hear discussions among constituents, they are saying somebody is good because he's able to spread money. Okay, so if that is what you are looking for, then you end up getting an MP or a president who can spread more money. So the more money you are able to spread, the higher your chance of getting elected. And if the source of the money, I'm not sure one person can get money to spread throughout. The person will have to get the money from somewhere. So instead of allowing society to degenerate in those terms, we must make specific rules that in America, UK, everywhere, there's a limit to campaign financing. You see? So those are the things where our democracy has reached now. Those are the things we should be looking at so that we can get leaders elected through a clean system. And when leaders are elected through a clean system, they are likely to be able to institute policies that will clean the system. If otherwise, we are in serious trouble. For example, you have this asset declaration regime.
Yes, I was going to that actually.
Lifestyle audit and all that. We all deceive ourselves that we are declaring our assets. But what you actually do is that you fill a piece of paper, put it in an envelope, and then you go and deposit it with the Auditor General. The law does not allow anybody to see it, and it cannot even be opened by the Auditor General until there is a court order. You understand? So whatever I put in there is just my word I have put in there, and you are not. So before the Fourth Republic, the laws about asset declaration were even more stringent than now that we are in a democratic regime. The PNDC law requires publication. After the declaration, you must publicize, and then there must be verification. So if I claim to have one house, it must be published that I have one house. And then somebody should go and verify where the house is so that society will be certain that I have one house. But this type of charade where you just fill a piece of paper, put it in an envelope, go and deposit it somewhere, and we say we are happy that we are declaring our assets. We are not declaring anything.
Yes. It seems we are moving around in circles as regards to the asset declaration. I'm going to come to you. I think we'll start with the first question. Will we wake up one day and find out that corruption is a thing of the past?
No. because studies have shown that once you can reduce corruption to a certain level, but beyond that level, the investment will bring diminishing returns. So you only have to get corruption to a level that it can be managed. And I guess there is no country in the world where you cannot have corruption. So we are talking about reducing corruption to levels that are not too harmful to society. You can get to a point where further investment in fighting corruption will bring less and less returns. So at that point, you may have to live with some amount of corruption. And then my brother's submission. You see, the Constitution is very, very clear that there's prosecutorial powers of the state are invested exclusively in the Attorney General. So whatever you are doing must be on his say-so, or he can appoint somebody to do the prosecution on his behalf. If you are not doing any of this, then you are lucky that nobody is challenging your authority to prosecute them. So that one is something that you cannot contest. Now, appointing students to go and form government. Have you tried to find out what happens in your own student politics here on campus? And why do you think that because you are coming straight from the university, you will be better, you will be cleaner than those there? If what you practice in the universities itself is the beginning of corruption, when you get out of the university, you will not change. You will go and perpetuate what you have learned in the university. But there are better ways of handling it. For instance, political parties in selecting candidates, you can adopt a universal membership suffrage system where every registered member of the party will participate in that choice. In that case, the group is too big for anybody to bribe. But that all comes with consequences. We tried it once in NDC, but we found out that the cost alone was unbearable because you have to deploy people virtually in all the polling stations across the country because you have party members there. They will come and vote. At the cost of deploying election officials there. And in this country, if a political party is conducting elections, we actually pay the Electoral Commission to come and supervise the elections. So when people talk about funding of our politics, funding could be a way, could be an anti-corruption measure. For instance, if we make laws that allows Electoral Commission to conduct all internal party elections pro bono, and then the party can also say institute a system whereby every party member will vote in the selection of a presidential candidate or parliamentary candidate. It will be difficult for such a group to be bribed. In that way, you make the politics cleaner. Now, my answer to the question you say you didn't like, that are we going anywhere? I didn't understand it to mean that it's related to just the arrest and the declaration of, some people wanted and so on. That is not the specific answer I was giving. But I'm saying that the way I see the anti-corruption happening, the commitment is not at the level I would want to see. That's why I'm saying that we are not going anywhere. Thank you.
Okay.